Hi there, my name is Kerin, Senior Financial Advisor at Ally Wealth Management. Thanks for tuning into my video. In this video, I just wanted to touch on a very key topic in which I get asked as a Senior Financial Advisor for the expat community. And that is, should I contribute to my Australian superannuation as a non-resident? So there's a couple of key things here to touch on. So let's dive straight in. So my first point I want to touch on is the overall retirement objective. Are you planning on returning to Australia to retire in Australia? Largely, superannuation forms part, or more or less a significant part, of our overall retirement income objectives. So it's really important to consider, is that going to be part of your income objective in retirement? Given the current concessional and non-concessional contribution limits and caps that are imposed on superannuation, it may be worthwhile to add contributions to superannuation in order to build up that balance in preparation for your retirement. Now, that kind of contribution can look very different depending on what age or life stage you're at. So feel free to consider whether it's worthwhile adding money to superannuation for that purpose. My second point is, if you still have property here in Australia, whether it was your prior residence or it has always been an investment property, if that property is positively geared, meaning that the rent received on that property is greater than that of the expenses on the property, i.e. interest charges on the loan, council rates, insurance, strata levies, etc., then it's likely that that difference in the positive income that you're receiving, you will incur a tax liability here in Australia. And as a non-resident, that tax liability starts at 32.5 cents in the first dollar. So at 32.5% tax on any positive income, we would obviously naturally look for ways to reduce that income tax liability. A concessional superannuation contribution could be an option to negate that liability. Concessional contributions are ones where you can add a contribution to super and claim a tax deduction. That concessional contribution does incur a 15% contribution tax. However, that 15% is much less than the 32.5% that you would pay to the ATO. So that might be an option in order to negate any personal income tax liability to the ATO and as a way to build up your retirement savings. My third point to consider is estate planning. Superannuation does not form part of your estate. So therefore, it might be a way of distributing assets in the unfortunate event of your death to dependents via means of a binding nomination on your account. This can be made to your spouse, your children, and therefore it eliminates additional paperwork and needs to make sure that they will have access to capital and funds in the event of your death. So in this video, I've touched on 3 key points about whether we should be contributing to superannuation. If you want to explore more and whether these are appropriate for you, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions. Or please follow our videos for additional content. Thanks so much for tuning in.